David Seymour.
Present.
Amanda Harness.
Here.
Samantha McDavid.
Present.
Sarah Moses.
Here.
Ariel Owens.
Present.
Jeremy Olson.
Here.
J.C. Ramirez.
Present.
Okay. Go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next up is public comment. Members of the public who wish to speak to the board should complete a request card prior to the start of the meeting. This section of the meeting will be reserved for comments from the public. All comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Criticism of individuals is not in order. Do you have any comments? Okay. Moving on to board correspondence and committee reports. Is there any correspondence or committee reports to share?
No.
Okay. Next up is approval of gifts and donations. It is recommended that the Board of Education accepts with gratitude the $350 donation from Myers. And thank you very much to Meyer Grocery Store for the $350 donation to the DeKalb School District. We appreciate it very much. Next up is new business. Item A is the pre-rise program. This is an action item. We presented this item last week.
I'm sorry, Sarah. Do we have to approve that, or we just, it says action item on the.
That's what I just said, action.
Oh, we don't have to roll call though for that. I was just asking.
Yeah, I haven't made a motion yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to make a motion to remove item F,
We're not in,
but I'm just going to let you know that when I get there.
okay, sure. And this is new business. We're not
So we
doing
don't skip it.
consent agenda tonight.
Okay.
So that might be, is that what you mean, Sam?
Oh, no, I thought there was action that had to be taken on the approval of gifts and donation.
Oh, I don't think we have to take action on gifts.
It's just, gotcha.
Just the reason.
Yep.
Okay, so new business, item A, is the pre-rise program. And it is recommended that the Board of Education approves the pre-rise proposal. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Samantha McDavid.
Yes.
Sarah Moses.
Yes.
Ariel Owens.
Yes.
Jeremy Olson.
Yes.
J.C. Ramirez.
Yes.
David Seymour.
Yes.
Amanda Harness.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next up is a cell phone stipend, and it is an action item. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the recommended cell phone reimbursement policy. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Roll call?
Sarah Moses.
Yes?
Ariel Owens.
Yes.
Jeremy Olson.
Yes.
J.C. Ramirez.
Yes.
David Seymour.
Yes.
Amanda Harness.
Yes.
Samantha McDavid.
Yes.
Next up is the salary study. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the Phase 2 proposal from Educational Leadership Solutions to complete the unaffiliated salary study. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Roll call?
Ariel Owens.
Yes.
Jeremy Olson.
No.
J.C. Ramirez.
Yes.
David Seymour.
Yes.
Amanda Harness.
Yes.
Samantha McDavid.
Yes.
Sarah Moses.
Yes. Next up is the FDOS letter of agreement, OP1 to OP2/OP3, pay increase / Ms. Deetra Salas. This is an action item. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the letter of agreement with the Federation of DeKalb Office Support Professionals regarding language correction for Article B, classification, salary, and rate of pay, Section 4, promotion, transfer, and pay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Jeremy Olson.
Yes.
J.C. Ramirez.
Yes.
David Seymour.
Yes.
Amanda Harness.
Yes.
Samantha McDavid.
Yes.
Sarah Moses.
Yes.
Ariel Owens.
Yes.
Next up is NIU LEAP program. And it is recommended that the Board of Education approve a partnership with NIU and Rockford Public School System 205 for the LEAP Special Education Teacher Pipeline Program. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
J.C. Ramirez.
Yes.
David Seymour.
Yes.
Amanda Harness.
Yes.
Samantha McDavid.
Yes.
Sarah Moses.
Yes.
Ariel Owens.
Yes.
Jeremy Olson.
Yes.
Okay. Next up is item F, full custodial staffing proposal.
Yeah, I would like to create a motion to table this to another meeting, don't feel that it's urgent. I did review the materials. I know I was not present at the last meeting when she presented, Tammy. That is a ginormous number in consideration of several things that I think that we should take into account. And so I would like to request that, or move that the board table this item.
Okay, so you're making a motion to table, and do you know when you want to table it to, or is there, you want more information, or?
Yeah, I honestly would like more open dialogue with the board about it because I wasn't here and we didn't have the opportunity to discuss it. I apologize. So if there's going to be an opportunity at the next meeting, can we have a discussion prior to a vote? I don't know how that works.
So you're motioning to?
Do you want to open it for discussion right now?
We can just open it now and have that discussion.
That's fine.
I mean,
Yeah.
Tammy's here. So.
Sure, that's fine. So let's go ahead and make that motion.
All right. So I'd like to move this item F to open discussion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call?
Amanda Harness?
Yes.
Samantha McDavid?
Yes.
Sarah Moses?
Yes.
Rita Owens?
Yes.
Jeremy Olson?
Yes.
Casey Ramirez?
Yes.
David Seymour?
Yes.
Okay. Tammy, come.
Are there specific questions I can answer, or do you?
Yeah, so, I just looked at, just looking at 20, prior year, I'll just say it that way. It'd be easier, not this
Yeah.
year. And we're mid-year currently, obviously. And there was not a request for, 8 additional employees, although we did add employees, I think, in the prior year. Maybe it was just management. I think we changed some things, maybe. But long story short is, between $500,000 and $800,000 in salaries for maintenance when we're in the middle of a pandemic, and perhaps maybe we're just getting by right now and we could use a few extra hands. But my biggest concern is long-term, right? We come out of the pandemic this summer, let's all cross our fingers and hope so. Now we've created $500,000 more in payroll and we might be overstaffed. And it seems like just an extraordinary, increase for the fact that we've somehow made it through the last year through COVID with that number of people. Why we now need, maybe coming out of the COVID situation and clearly much less severe, that we would need to do that now. I think the timing is a little off, and I would think that perhaps if we were going to do that, it would be we do the best we can. This is just my thoughts to the board. Get through this year with the way we've done it this point, this fall and into this year, and then evaluate where we are with the pandemic, and perhaps there wouldn't be a need for as much cleaning staff. I know that was a big part of the support piece there. So I don't know. I just feel like this is a really big investment, and the timing of which I think is the biggest issue for me. I'm not saying we don't need it ever, but I would like to say that I would urge the board to consider pushing this to fall and maybe readdressing it once we see how the pandemic plays out over the summer.
If I can address some
Yes,
of that.
please.
The staff that was added a year ago, July, it would have been July of 2020, was to go back to a full cleaning schedule. We were in a modified cleaning schedule for 5 years where we only cleaned half of the classrooms every other day. And as we thought we may come back from the in August of 2020, well, when we were still remote, the board made a decision that we needed to be back to a full cleaning schedule in regards to cleaning every classroom every day. So the staff that was added at that time just brought us back to that level that we were 5 years before. It didn't add any more from a standpoint of increasing the cleaning time scheduled that would have been needed at that point. Last school year, 2021, we really didn't have kids in classrooms until January. We started bringing kids back, and that was half-time, students back. They weren't in every space. We weren't cleaning at this, we were cleaning, but again, it wasn't at that increased level or the increased demands because we didn't have lunch. We didn't have to worry about cleaning, being attentive to the needs of the students in the buildings all day. So last year's school schedule was significantly different demands than this year's school schedule. So the pandemic school schedule last year compared to this year, the demands on our team went up exponentially this year. The demands not only went up because of the pandemic, that was just one piece of it in my proposal. Because we do still hire right now a disinfecting company when there's a positive case. So we are not actually handling the disinfecting part unless it's the once a week, our expectation is that we wipe down hard surfaces. Once a week, the desks, the tables, those things. We can't even get to that because the increased need that has come up this year is because we eat breakfast in all classrooms, K through 8, in every classrooms in the district. And you can imagine the mess that that leaves behind every day in every classroom. We didn't have that before the pandemic. We had a few buildings that were doing it, a few elementaries, but not all. We also changed from having carpet in many classrooms in the district to approving hard surfaces, replacing old carpets and putting in LVT, which is luxury vinyl tile it's called. Now, a spill is a spill, but if you spill on carpet, it sinks in and you don't notice it. You may or may not have a stain eventually and have to really clean it, but if I spill on a hard surface, I gotta clean that day. No matter what, I'm gonna see it if I don't clean it up. So more attention and time has to be given to the hard surfaces that have been installed throughout our buildings. And they are much safer, much more sanitary. It is still the right decision, but it has increased our cleaning time. Last week, I think it was, we approved more flooring replacements. The entire second floor Clinton Rosette will go from carpet to hard surface this summer. The remaining carpeted classrooms at Founders will go to hard surfaces. So we are going to add more rooms that are going to go from carpet to hard surfaces, which will again require additional time spent in those rooms to clean the floors and make them get to an acceptable level at an expectation we have for our staff. The supervisors have taken this first semester of the year, the custodial supervisors, to evaluate, are we getting things done on the schedule we say we are? And we are not. We're not. With the same level of staffing we were before we went to a full clean, or excuse me, a modified clean. And so that's why we brought this forward as we have, to add additional hours across a total of, I think it's 10 of our buildings. We'll have additional hours added so that we can meet the district's expectations and standards that we have had in place for as long as I can remember being here. So that's really where the proposal comes from. It doesn't have to specifically tie back to this pandemic. Things have changed and our standards haven't changed, but we can't meet them any longer. And to make sure we're providing a healthy, safe environment for our students, that's why we took the first few months to evaluate and say, hey, can we make some changes? We asked teachers and classroom staff to help by helping with pick things up off the floors at the end of the day, get the room ready so we don't have to spend so much time doing that. It's still not adding to the time we need to get these cleaned properly. So that's why I came forward with this at this time.
And so it sounds like the difference here is, so you're saying that COVID really hasn't created any more demand on your staff?
Not to the extent of the total amount we're asking. There still is a demand, but honestly, the lunch in the classrooms, and then there are classrooms, because of the pandemic, I think that are also having lunch, excuse me, did I say breakfast? Breakfast in the classrooms. But also we have some individuals eating lunch in the classrooms because those students and our staff need to have more social distancing and can't sit at a traditional lunch table with their mask off and next to their fellow students.
I thought we were eating in the classroom right now. Are we eating in the classroom right now?
Yeah, the breakfast after the bell is to, I think, it wasn't a COVID thing, right?
No.
It's to allow all of our students to have access to a nutritious breakfast before school starts.
Well, I
or
get
as
the
school
point, but I
starts,
thought there was
yeah.
like a big deal when COVID broke out that we weren't going to do that. So they're still doing
Well,
that.
that was
The
last year.
guidances have changed.
And that's why we did more half day, because we wanted to limit kids being without, masks. But that's, everything is, this year is different based on,
So really, it's the
guidelines.
breakfast and the lunch thing that's creating this.
I think there
Huge
is
demand.
more attention that's been turned to a cleaning that is required. And as much as we want to say we wipe down every table and desk at a rotation of at least once a week, it doesn't always happen. And when it doesn't happen, people notice because to them it's not clean, which means it's not disinfected, which means it's not safe. So we hear a lot more feedback when it's not happening that we may not have heard before the pandemic.
does anyone else?
Well, I just wanted to add that I think this is one thing that our staff have brought up to our staff in the classrooms, teaching staff and support staff that are in the classrooms, have brought it to our attention that this is something they really feel like they need for, not just for a welcoming and clean environment for students, but also for safety concerns as well.
Anybody else? Questions or comments? Okay, so now
Wait,
this is.
can I ask one more question?
Yeah, well,
I'm sorry, just in the past, because I've only been on this board for 2.5 years, whatever it is, how, have we ever served food in the classroom up until recently? Lunch or breakfast?
We have not until it was 2 years before the pandemic. So that would have been 2018-19, I believe was the first year we served breakfast in the classroom at one of our buildings, two of our buildings, elementaries. That would have been the first time, and that was at some of like Tyler Littlejohn and Founders initially, but Founders was added as the third one, and then it was it was this past August when it went to all elementaries and both middle schools. And there's discussion about high school. If that's the right solution for high school, we just haven't made that decision and decided to move forward with high school yet, but that could be coming.
So we don't offer it like before school, like in a cafeteria or anything?
No, it's breakfast after the bell.
I think previously when they were doing it before school, there were many students that are eligible for free or reduced lunch, so that should be getting these breakfasts. All of our students get them now, but that should have gotten these breakfasts that weren't because they would have to miss their morning recess. So they went to breakfast after the bell in classrooms.
That was a piece of it. Students were choosing to skip breakfast to be out for recess. Also, some of the population were not making it to school on time for various reasons. And when, at a certain time, when the 8:45 bell would ring at the elementary, breakfast was done. And then kids were getting dropped off and arriving late. And those kids really needed the breakfast, and it was no longer available. So it was a statement based on free and reduced percentages at the buildings.
At the time it was, and then we rolled it out to all the elementaries and middle schools this year. And there was a little bit of COVID related to that as well in terms of why we did that, because remember last year we changed our arrival time to be only like 5 minutes before the bell. And so when we were getting ready for this coming school year, the principals felt that was really worked out well because of trying to keep kids social distance, trying to figure out what to do with them before school recess time. So to actually not have that breakfast before the bell and then having it after, and then a breakfast cart. Every school has a little different model, but mostly the kids come out, they grab their breakfast, they go back to their classroom, and it becomes part of the curriculum. And
I remember that. I just didn't realize we were doing lunch in the classroom as well.
No, not lunch.
That's not dictated. That is more of a, based on the student needs. If there's a decision made by our staff and administration that a student, for whatever reason, cannot or isn't able to eat lunch in the lunchroom side by side with their other students, that if the request is made, they have made accommodations to allow them to eat. It's not a scheduled large group, but there are kids that eat in classrooms for lunch randomly throughout the district. I couldn't say how many, but it is happening in certain buildings.
Okay. I guess, my thought would be, we're adding full-time positions. And I know that we're estimating that we need 10 full-time employees to get to where we were before. But I do think that it makes sense to have just a little bit of trepidation in that, because it seems like this is a big step as opposed to a moderate step. And, perhaps we could maybe go with half of that number and see how it impacts it and give us a better idea in the summer, going into fall, what we really need. I mean, that's just hiring 10 full-time employees just because we're taking a swag at it and we think that's what it's going to take. Well, that's a huge investment when there's a lot of other things that we'd like to be spending money on. So, I don't know how you guys feel.
Well, is it 10 or 8?
If I could comment.
Yeah. Is it 8?
It's 8.
Okay.
Sorry, 8.
Yeah, I just want to make sure.
We've done a lot of analysis, and we took a lot of time looking at this to determine, and some of it is a building getting 2 hours more, and some of it is a building getting 16 hours more. By cutting it in half for 4, let's say 32 hours total, we're still having to cover a total of 11 school buildings. And you can't, it won't help, I'll be honest, to put, an hour here, an hour there, and, that, it will take distributing a part-time to a full-time person at each building to really have any impact at that building. And a couple buildings we've evaluated, they are able to keep up, and we aren't recommending hours at those 2 buildings. And so that's why we came back with this proposal.
Does anybody have any other questions or comments? Okay, did you want to, it's up for action now, so that's our next step is action. Unless you want to
No,
motion
it's
to
fine.
table and then you have board approval or agreement. Okay, so the administration is recommending that the Board of Education approve Proposal 1 to add 8 full-time custodial staff with the option to consider Proposal 2 should the demands increase in the future. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Roll call?
David Seymour,
Yes.
Amanda Harness,
Yes.
Samantha McDavid,
Yes.
Sarah Moses,
Yes.
Ariel Owens,
Yes.
Jeremy Olson,
No.
Daisy Ramirez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. And then with that, we will go ahead and adjourn to closed session. It is recommended that the Board of Education adjourns to closed session for the collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or the representatives or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more of the classes of employees. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Amanda Harness,
Yes.
Samantha McDavid,
Yes.
Sarah Moses,
Yes.
Ariel Owens,
Yes.
Jeremy Olson,
Yep.
Daisy Ramirez,
Yes.
David Seymour.
Yes.
Okay, and with that,